Hi, I'm Lena, and I'm a Canadian citizen. You might have seen Prime Minister Mark Carney's letter, document of September 21st, where they declared that they accept or recognizing Palestine as a state. It's very problematic, very problematic. I really just don't know what to say. Like I said before in my previous video, it's not Canadians pulling the strings of these politicians. It's probably Israelis, Zionists at best. Anyway, so I wanted to go over it and talk about it a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to comment, read a bit and comment on it. Okay, so it starts with, since 1947, it has been the policy of every Canadian government to support a two-state solution for lasting peace in the Middle East. This envisioned the creation of a sovereign, democratic, and viable state of Palestine, building its future in peace and security alongside the state of Israel. I'm not sure where they're physically going to be. That's not being discussed. The problem with this is that Israel was established by the English specifically to destabilize the Middle East. That's what it's there for. It's not going to be peaceful. It's there to destabilize the Middle East. So, England and the United States and other European countries can get the oil they want and other resources out of the Middle East. So I really would think we should do some double checking on this whole idea that Canada's always been in support of a two-state solution. I don't think so. I really don't. But, I haven't researched that. Okay, over many decades, Canada's commitment to this goal was premised on the expectation that this outcome would be eventually achieved as part of a negotiated settlement. When were these negotiations taking place? Did I miss something? Regrettably, this possibility has been steadily and gravely eroded, including by the pervasive threat of Hamas terrorism to Israel and its people, culminating in the heinous terrorist attack of October 7th, 2023, and Hamas's long-standing violent rejection of Israel's right to exist and a two-state solution. Really? So, Palestine existed for thousands of years. England goes in there and tries to take over. Then in World War II, they see it as a solution to several problems. One, they wanted to get rid of the Jews. They didn't want the Jews coming to England or Canada or the United States, right? They didn't want them. And the Zionists wanted their homeland. Those are all bigger issues. And they decide to stick it in Palestine. And then they made this agreement that, Israel is there to work for them. So basically, you got like this colony, this English colony, really, causing trouble in the Middle East. And Hamas are terrorists because they attacked the Israelis. Okay, if you actually read some of these laws that the UN has regarding occupiers and the right to defend themselves. People have made other videos where they explain that the Palestinians have every right to defend themselves and to attack the occupiers, which are the Israelis. So how is Hamas the terrorist? I agree, what they did wasn't very nice. But really, what alternative did they have? What could they do? Nobody's listening to them. No one's respecting them. All these human rights that we claim we have through the UN, all gone out the window when it comes to the Palestinians. But here, Carney's saying that, the Hamas is these horrible terrorists. That's a problem. Okay, so the next thing that he wrote in it was the accelerated settlement building across the West Bank and East Jerusalem, while settler violence against Palestinians has soared. That's true. We've been watching that my entire life. The settlers moving in, being told by the UN they're not supposed to be there, that these are illegal settlements, and they just go in there and beat up the Palestinians, and the Palestinians are not allowed to have weapons, and the Palestinians have no recourse through the police or the courts or anything like that. Okay, so, yeah. Okay, another thing that seems to have eroded this two-state solution, actions such as the E1 settlement plan and this year's vote by the Knesset calling for the annexation of the West Bank. Yeah. Israel has no intention of giving it. They're going to take everything. They're not just going to take Palestine. They're going to take Jordan. They're going to take Lebanon. I mean, you've seen the maps that Netanyahu has held up and said, this is going to be greater Israel and all these Arabs are going to be wiped off the face of the earth. This is just the beginning. Why can't you see that? Why can't you address it? It's ridiculous. Okay, the next thing that he wrote of the two-state solution, the Israeli government contribution to the humanitarian disaster in Gaza, including by impeding access to food and other essential humanitarian supplies. The Israeli government's contribution to. They aren't contributing, they're doing it. They designed this and they've executed this, and you stood by and did nothing. They didn't just contribute to it, they did it. Okay, let's move on. Hamas has terrorized the people of Israel and oppressed the people of Gaza, wreaking horrific suffering. It is imperative that Hamas release all hostages, fully disarm, and play no role in the future governance of Palestine. Remember what I just read there, because it's going to become important later on. Okay? So here we go. Hamas, 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 right? It's like Netanyahu wrote this and sent it to Carney and told him what to write. Like, it's just ridiculous. It's always Hamas. It's not Hamas. Anyway, Hamas has stolen from the Palestinian people, cheated them of their life and liberty, and can in no way dictate their future. Okay. So just Hamas did that. Israel didn't steal their land, even though you were just talking about how they were annexing the West Bank and Gaza and doing all these horrible things and causing all these humanitarian problems. It's Hamas that stole from the Palestinian people. Okay. But the last little phrase in that was, and in no way can dictate their future. Remember that. Okay. The current Israeli government is working methodically to prevent the prospect of a Palestinian state from ever being established. It has pursued an unrelenting policy of settlement expansion in the West Bank, which is illegal under international law. Yes, it is. Yeah, it is. So is sending weapons to Israel, which you're doing and have continued to do, and you lied about. You told Canadians you weren't sending weapons, and you lied. And you continue to send weapons, and you continue to send support, and money is still being funneled through charities and being sent there. People in Canada with Canadian citizenship are going to Israel to join the IOF and to commit atrocities in Palestine. And you're doing nothing about it. And all of that is illegal. Okay? And you are supporting these illegal activities. Okay, where did I leave off? It's a sustained assault in Gaza has killed tens of thousands of civilians, displaced well over 1 million people, and caused a devastating and preventable famine in violation of international law. Yes, they have. Israel did that. And you supported it every step of the way. It is now the avowed policy of the current Israeli government that, in quotes, there will be no Palestinian state. No, I'm pretty sure Israel's been saying that since day one. They're trying to deny that it ever existed. They're openly saying, like, if you go online and you get these Zionist bots coming after you, they outright say that Palestine never existed. If you listen to the Christian Zionists in the States, like even Charlie Kirk said that Palestine doesn't exist. It never did exist. Right? This is erasure. And you help them do it. Yeah. Okay. It is in this context that Canada recognizes the state of Palestine and offers our partnership in building the promise of a peaceful future for both the state of Palestine and the state of Israel. Here we go again. Nobody can have peace with Israel. Its entire purpose is to destabilize the Middle East. It's not going to be peace with Israel, right? They're all attacking everybody around them, and they will continue to attack everybody around them. That's why the United States and Britain and France and Germany give Israel all these weapons. That's why France gave Israel nuclear weapons, so that they could bully people and cause destabilization. That's what their purpose is. Okay. Canada does so as part of a coordinated international effort to preserve the possibility of a two-state solution. Okay. But you're not doing it very seriously. While Canada is under no illusions that this recognition is a panacea, this recognition is firmly aligned with the principles of self-determination. What did he say back there? Hamas can't participate and Hamas can't dictate the future. Hamas was duly elected, dude. But you're going to align with the principles of self-determination and the fundamental human rights reflected in the United Nations Charter and the consistent policy of Canada for generations. It has not been the consistent policy of Canada for generations. Okay, Canada has consistently supported the Zionists who are there to destroy the Arabs. That's what Canada has been doing. That's why we send them weapons. Okay? Recognizing the state of Palestine, led by the Palestinian Authority, empowers those who seek peaceful coexistence and the end of Hamas. The Palestinian Authority is a puppet regime set up by Israel. They do whatever Israel tells them to do. So you're saying that they have the right to self-determination, but in no way can Hamas participate in it, and you're going to push the Palestinian Authority on them. It's not exactly self-determination, is it? What a joke. Okay. This in no way legitimizes terrorism, nor is it any reward for it. Furthermore, it in no way compromises Canada's steadfast support for the state of Israel. Now, that is true. That is true. You're going to continue to support Israel. Yeah. No matter what they do, how many billions of people they kill, you're going to do it. You're going to back them up. Because there's a pipeline that needs to go right through there. And all those nasty Arabs are in the way. And those nasty Arabs, they don't want to give their oil away for nothing. What is it with these people? Can't they see that there's big fossil fuel companies that want their fuel? What's wrong with them? Okay, Canada's steadfast support for the state of Israel, its people, and their security. Security that can only ultimately be guaranteed through the achievement of a comprehensive two-state solution, which by its very nature can't happen. It can't. It's very lopsided. You know, Israel has nuclear weapons, Palestinians don't. Israel has all these fancy high-tech weapons, the best in the world. Palestine doesn't. How do you think this is going to go? Not only that, Israel has stated its agenda, that it's going to get rid of the Palestinians. It's going to annihilate them. So how are you going to have this two-state solution? You have to give weapons to the Palestinians. You know, the Palestinians were forcefully told they had to give up their weapons. I can't remember what year that was, but this has been going on for a long time. That they had to give up everything. All their weapons. They're not allowed to own a gun. And yet, Israel has all these weapons, and then you say, oh, we're going to have a nice, equal two-state solution. Are you crazy? Like, come on. The Palestinian Authority has provided direct commitments to Canada and the international community on much-needed reforms, including two fundamentally reform its governance, to hold general elections in 2026. Really? You're going to hold general elections in 2026 when the people are starving to death. They're literally dropping dead of starvation, and we see it every day. And you're going to hold an election? How are they even going to prove where they live, like, or that they have an address or register to vote? How can they do that? How? Their homes have been destroyed. They're dying, and we can't even get food and medicine to them because you won't do your job. But they're going to hold an election in 2026. Are you nuts? But they're going to hold an election in 2026 in which Hamas can play no part. There's that lovely self-determination again. It's not self-determination if they have to choose the Palestinian Authority and Hamas can't have anything to do with it. All right. And to demilitarize the Palestinian state. They were demilitarized a long time ago, forcefully, by the Israelis. They don't have an army. They don't have access to weapons. You know, what little they have, you know, honestly, from what I've seen, and I looked at watching the electronic intifada, it seems to be that the weapons they're getting from the Israelis. That's it. So, you know, demilitarizing the Palestinian state. How about demilitarizing the Israeli state? Okay. Canada will intensify efforts to support the Palestinian Authority's implementation of this reform agenda, on which progress has already been made. Okay. With our international partners, Canada supports the development of a credible peace plan, democratic governance, and the clear security agreements for Palestine, and sustained large-scale delivery of humanitarian aid into and throughout Gaza. Okay, so just Gaza gets humanitarian aid? You know they're doing exactly the same thing in the West Bank, right? They're also starting to do these things in Lebanon and Syria. Syria's getting hit bad. But only Gaza gets military or humanitarian aid? Okay. We have a serious problem here. Serious problem. Like, why even publish this? This is so insulting to anybody who can read. It's unbelievable. And what about all the other people, right? Just the people in Gaza, we're going to give them humanitarian aid, and the people in the West Bank, and the people in Syria, and the people in Lebanon that, Israel wants to take. And what about Jordan and all these other places that Israel is going to take, right, to make the greater Israel? They don't get humanitarian aid. You really should listen to the UN. They told you a long time ago to stop sending weapons to Israel. And you didn't. And you lied to the Canadian people about it. It's the only solution. If all these weapons are gone, Israel can't do this. It's that simple. We can turn this off like a light switch because Israel goes through a lot. And all you have to do is stop providing them with the weapons. And then you need to go in there and open up those border crossings and just forcefully bring the food and the health care that they need into the country. These people are dying. Most horrible deaths. Slowly. Like I just don't understand. I don't understand. Like, where is, like, there's not even a time when you're going to bring this humanitarian aid to these people in Gaza, let alone the West Bank or Syria. This is disgusting. You're so far behind. You are so unbelievably far behind. I'm sorry. Prime Minister Mark Carney, you are a huge disappointment.